Hi, Kate Johansson here, and I want to talk about handling today. Handling means how you direct the dog when you go to the line, is what we call it when we're getting ready to run a mark or a blind in a competition. So what are we going to do to communicate? What I want to talk to you about today is specifically how you handle. You have sent your dog on a blind, and then your dog veers off the line to the blind a little bit, and you need to stop him. So you're going to blow your whistle, 1 toot, and then you are going to take your hands in prayer position, and if he veered off that way, you want to bring him back over here. So this is an angle back, this is a straight back, straight right, over. Prayer position every time. Straight back to the left, angle left back, and over. If the dog's pretty close to you, you don't really have to take a step. But if your dog's far away, 150 yards or farther, in order to emphasize your movement, the direction you want him to go, I suggest taking a step over. Taking a step, a small step for an angle back. If you want him to go straight back after you blow your whistle. So 1 toot is stop, is come in whistle, stop, sit. And whether your dog's in the water or on land, your dog should stop and turn and look at you. If they're on land, they're going to sit, and they're going to turn and look at you and sit. If they're in the water, you still tell them to sit, but they can't sit. But they're going to stop, turn around, and look at you when you blow your sit whistle, which is 1 toot. And then you're going to get the dog back on line. So if the dog was just ever so slightly veering off, you can give them that straight angle back. If the dog's veered off quite a bit and made a commitment to going over there, then you're going to step angle. If the dog needs to just totally reverse and go back the other way, then you're going to give them an over. So starting with prayer position, over. So back, over, and you're probably going to be yelling if they're far out. However, on an over, you may not say anything. You may just give an over, a silent over. The reason that you would do that is because if you say over really loud, it tends to drive the dog back, any voice that comes from you. And if you really want a straight over, I recommend doing a silent over. We're talking today about handling for blinds and even marks, but specifically for blind retrieves where something has been planted out in the field without the dog seeing anything being thrown, and you need to walk up and send your dog, direct your dog to that. Maybe out in a real hunting scenario, a bird was shot by another hunter, or a whole bunch of birds were shot at the same time, and one sailed off across the water and is quite a ways away. The other birds politely dropped into the pond or the waterway right in front of you. So of course you're going to go get those birds first. Then you're going to turn toward where the bird landed that flew a ways before it came down, and you're going to line your dog up here. Dead bird. Dead bird. That's it. That's it. Back. So the cadence that you want to reach with enough practice is ready, aim, fire. So you say dead bird, telling your dog that you're going to send them for a dead bird, and then the dog will look in different places out there, and you are, as the handler, going to watch, and you're going to step into your dog. If she's looking this way, you're going to say here if you need to pull her back towards you, and then she's going to settle. They get really good at this. She's going to settle on in between the here and the over there, and they're going to look straight out, and then you say, that's it, back. So dead bird, that's it, back. Ideally, in a perfect world, it would just go like that. But after you say dead bird, you have to get the dog lined up before you say back. So that's where you're going to be stepping in and pulling them to you. Here. Step in. Here. And you got to practice that. So the dog will get really, really good at that over time. Before I get Tina, I want to talk to you about yard work and pile work and just starting to train on blinds. So we always crawl before we walk, and we always walk before we run. So when I'm doing pile work, especially initially, I will put a marker out where the pile is. So I'm going to walk out maybe 70 yards or so, and I'm going to stick this in the ground. It's an electric fence post with a bunch of ribbons on it. And then I'm going to put 7 or 8 bumpers all around it. And when I bring the dog out, the ribbon's fluttering in the breeze, and they're just used to looking at that. So then when the dog is totally used to doing that, going to the pile, then I'm going to take the pole away and just put the bumpers out there so they come off the truck and they don't see anything out there. A lot of times, even with a very seasoned dog, we will take a piece of ribbon or a couple pieces of ribbon and tie it to a bush, because we, a lot of times, will not remember exactly where we put the bumper or the bird when we go and plant the blinds for practice work. So you can use a pole, or you can tie off bushes with ribbons. It's absolutely amazing how different things look when you're out there planting the blind, and when you come back to the line, you think you planted it over there, but it's really over there. So that's why we always mark it. If you're training your own young dog, then when you first start doing this, you would have your dog off the truck, tell him to sit, maybe walk your dog out closer to the pile of bumpers with the pole, and let him see you planting it. If you just got your dog and it's a started dog or an intermediate dog or even a seasoned dog, if you haven't had a lot of experience with this kind of thing, I think it's really, really beneficial for you to go through these steps as the handler so that you start familiarizing yourself with how to work your dog in easy situations. So I have had dogs. I have a dog on the truck right now. She's 5 years old, and she'll run for anybody. She'll take herself off the truck and go sit herself on a mound and run herself. She doesn't really need anybody to direct her. But if you were to get a dog like that, I would still recommend that you do this, okay? Because you have to start learning just how to work with your dog, and you guys have to learn to trust each other. Now I want to get her lined up here. I want to line her straight up, and she should be able to see that. That's only about 40 yards out, if that, and she's looking right at it. So like I said, if you've just gotten a dog and you're not really, really well versed in all this stuff, even though your dog's able to do all kinds of really fancy stuff, this is where I recommend you start, is just learning to work your dog on real easy stuff. Dead bird. That's it. Back. I'm going to send her for the stake. but I'm going to stop her and give her an over. That's it. No. That's it. Stop. Over. Here. So if you have a young dog that you're training yourself, or you have purchased a started dog, not a finished dog, not an intermediate dog, but a started dog, if you were to do what I just did and throw one off to the side and expect your young dog to go straight out to that stake, you would have a little bit of a challenge on your hand, because if you throw it out there, they're going to want to go get that one. Sit. No. Stop. Good girl, come on. Here. Sit. Stay. Stop. So you want to vary it. You always want to keep them a little bit on the edge and do something that they're not expecting. So I want to recap. We start with the cadence of lining the dog up and getting ready to send them, pointing them at the object that we want to retrieve. So we're going to line the dog up, dead bird, that's it. You're going to have to work the that's it to make sure your dog's pointing in the right direction. If your dog's looking in the right direction and she's pointed a different way, don't send her. You need to get her body lined up to where you want her to go. Okay? You want to have your whistle in your mouth, especially if it's a short scenario. But you don't want to blow your whistle when you send the dog, so you have to practice that, holding it in your mouth and not blowing it. Then, when you want to stop the dog, it's one whistle, and then the dog sits and turns around and looks at you. Then you give your cast. No whistle. No whistle with the cast. First you stop them with the whistle, and then you cast them. So I've seen new handlers do all kinds of things. They send the dog and they blow the whistle at the same time. They blow their whistle and then they cast them and blow their whistle, and when they want the dog to come, they blow one whistle like a stop, and they think their dog's going to come. So all of this stuff is really, really simple, just like everything else in life. It's simple, but it's not easy until you get used to it. So there's a lot to it. So a lot of stuff to practice. I recommend practicing your handling in front of the mirror, because you have no idea what your body's doing when you're just out here on your own. And so it's really important to spend a little time each morning just practicing in front of the mirror. Start with prayer position, straight back. Prayer position, angle back. Prayer position, over. Drop these. If you really need a severe over and the dog's way out there, you can take and really make a big step. So you blow your whistle, the dog turns, and then you give a big over. So follow through like in golf, okay? So practice in the mirror, practice blowing your whistle. It's really simple, but it's not easy. Good luck.